Hi guys, Harry here from the Art Gear Guide. As you can see by the title, today I'm doing a test of all the different white pencils that I have. Now, I'm not too sure whether this is going to show you the best white pencil, because I suppose really the best white pencil is individual to its needs and what you're using it for and all the rest of it. So, but what I'm going to do is, I have 26 white pencils, okay? Some of them are watercolor pencils. I think about 3 or 4 of them are watercolor pencils. And then as you can see there, I've got the Caran d'Ache Neo color as well. So it's not technically a pencil, but it's still a white application that can be used in your artwork. And I'm testing it on 2 different papers. So as you can see here, I have the Winsor & Newton black paper, and I've got all the different white color pencils that'll be testing going down the side here. And then underneath the black paper, just let me zoom out a little bit. Oh, come on. Underneath the black paper, I'm also going to be testing it on Strathmore's Tone Tan, so it will give you a little bit of different, contrast as the different white pencils used on different coloured papers. So I thought, I also have the Strathmore Grey, but I thought doing the black and the Tone Tan should be okay, because the grey is kind of like, it's just going to be a little bit lighter than what it will be on the black paper. So anyway, before I get into this video, I'm going to let you know this is probably going to be a long video, okay? So if you want to watch it, fine. If you don't want to watch it, that's also fine as well. But unfortunately, there's nothing really I can do about that. I'll be testing 26 different white pencils, and if I speed it up and just put it down, then I don't think people are going to get to see the lay down of the pencil and what have you and all the rest of it. So unfortunately, it's going to be long, but I'll try and get it done as quick as I can. And so, without any further ado, let's get on with this and start doing our test on the white pencils that we have here. Okay, so before we get down to this, I just want to let you know, a couple of weeks ago, my other camera kind of died on me, just gave up the ghost, and it was only a couple of years old and had not really been used that much. But nevertheless, I went out and got this new camera, so I'm hoping that this new camera is going to be delivering better results, better clarity, that type of thing. So let's get into it. Now what I'm going to do is, I'm just going to go through doing the testing here of the different pencils. So the first one, as you can see here, is the Faber-Castell Aperture, and I'm going to use basically medium pressure on these, and then once I get to the bottom, then I'll select the top 5 in terms of opaqueness, I suppose is the right word. Okay, so the next one is the Caran d'Ache Supercolor 2. Again, this is another watercolor pencil, but don't forget, I know these are watercolor pencils, but a lot of artists use them. God, I hate it when that happens. I was a soldier, and I've seen a hell of a lot more scary things than a pencil lead breaking, but I just can't help it. Whenever it breaks like that, blinking and jumping back. And what I'll do is, once I've done all of these, I'll get the camera and zoom in all the way down and let you see for yourselves. So the next one is the Lyra Rembrandt Polycolor. And I mean, like, right away though, you can see the difference between the Caran d'Ache Supercolor and the Lyra Rembrandt. I would say this is definitely more a translucent colour than the Caran d'Ache Supercolor. Now, I also want to make something quite clear here. Just because one white pencil is better, more opaque than the other, doesn't necessarily mean that that brand of pencil isn't a good brand of pencil, because it's just not necessarily the case. You know, one colour pencil artist's idea of a good white pencil might be completely different to another one's. It's all completely subjective, and it's something worth bearing in mind. So that one was the Derwent Pro Color. That's the new pencil from Derwent. The next one that I'm doing is the Derwent Studio. Which is actually surprisingly soft. Why does that surprise me? Okay, so you can see there as well that the Studio is much more opaque than the Pro Color. The next one we have is another watercolor one. It's the Spectrum Noir Aqua Blend. So you can hear my dogs moving about there in the background. So that was the Spectrum Noir Aqua Blend. Again, that's a watercolor pencil. That's quite translucent, that. Next is the Koh-i-Noor Polycolor. Koh-i-Noor is a great brand pencil. I really like Koh-i-Noor. Especially this Polycolor range. Now, also as well, as I'm just talking to you here, almost all of these pencils that I'm doing, I've got reviews up of them on the channel, and I'm not going to link to them all, but if you want, the best way to, one of the best ways to see all the videos that I have is if you go across to the Art Gear Guide, there's an actual channel up there, sorry, a page, and it has all the videos on it, and they're kind of like laid out in a grid layout. Sometimes it can be a little bit easier than going on to YouTube and searching for videos. It's just another way of finding the videos. So you can see there with Koh-i-Noor, that's quite translucent as well. Now we're under the Faber-Castell Polychromos, and this is a very popular pencil, and a lot of people like this pencil because of its translucency. Whenever it comes down to skin tones and stuff like that there, whenever they're burnishing with the white pencil, they like the pencil to be a little bit more translucent rather than opaque if they're burnishing with the white pencil. But you can see there that it's, already you can see the different shades of white there, and it's really quite prominent. I'm actually really quite surprised. This test that I'm doing now is, it's my first time. I've not done these pencils. I've not done a test like this. The next one is the Prismacolor Very Thin. So, again, I'm just using a medium pressure here, medium to... Trying to make sure that the leads don't break on me. The next one is the Derwent Artists. This is one of my favourite pencils. Sorry, just let me move this up a little bit for you. Okay, so here's the Derwent Artist. And this is what I know that the Derwent Artist pencil, this is one of my favourite brands, this pencil. And I know a lot of people say it's such a hard pencil, but you can see here with this white just how soft and crumbly it really is. I know some, I know some of the colours are definitely hard in comparison to some of the other pencils, but you can see there that Derwent Artist White is quite opaque. Now, before I go any further with this, a lot of the Derwent Whites here that I'm testing, they're called Derwent Chinese White. Now, I'm not 100% sure whether every single one of them, for example, the Derwent Drawing Pencil and stuff like that, are exactly the same ingredients in each one, which is the reason why I'm testing them all. And funnily enough, we're on to the Derwent Drawing, which is this is one of, a lot of people say that between the Caran d'Ache Luminance and this Derwent Drawing White are the most opaque whites that you can basically get. And just right off the bat there, on this white alone, I'm guessing that although they're called, all of them in the Derwent range are called the Derwent Chinese White, I am guessing that there is something different in each individual pencil, because you can see there, that is brighter, more opaque than the Derwent Artist. And then if you go up to the Derwent Studio, this one here, it's more opaque still. Okay, so let's move on with this. And the next one is the Holbein Artist. And this is I've done a review on this. This is a really soft pencil, a really gorgeous pencil. Incidentally, kind of like an update on that. A lot of people came to me with a website that you can get these pencils open stock. It's a person in Japan who actually will ship them out to you wherever you are, doesn't matter. Relatively inexpensive. And I did get an email back from Holbein actually after that, and they gave me a small list of countries that you can buy these pencils in, and there was, I think Czechoslovakia was one. Actually, you know what? I'm not even going to say it because I'll have to go through the email again. But I was actually surprised at the different places that they had put down on it that I'd never thought of. So I'll have to update that on the website. Anyway, so that's the Holbein Artist. And now we're on to the Caran d'Ache Luminance. And the Caran d'Ache Luminance is obviously, everybody, I think almost everybody is of the opinion that the Luminance is the ultimate white pencil. A little bit of crumbling going on there, but nothing major. And don't forget, I am putting a heavier pressure on these pencils than what I would ordinarily do in a coloured pencil. And you can actually see there that, I mean, don't forget, I will get the camera and go through this individually with you once I've done it. But the Caran d'Ache Luminance is definitely brighter, but not by much, than the Holbein. Okay, so the next one is the Prismacolor Colour Erase. Now, I'm not expecting this to be too opaque actually, because these pencils are designed to be erased. So they're not going to be terribly opaque. There's a fantastic artist on YouTube, Daryl Tank, I think his name is. His website is the five pencil method, I think it's called. He's an absolutely amazing artist, graphite artist and colour pencil artist. He's just superb. He uses these pencils a lot, and he enjoys using them because of the erasability on them. But like I said there, that's pretty translucent. The next one is the Derwent Watercolour. Again, this is Derwent Chinese White, but I'm going to say that it's a different white than the artist white, the Pro Color white, and the studio white, and the drawn white. I'm actually going to have to find that out for definite, because at the minute I'm speculating, just going by visual basis. But it is something I'm going to have to find out. The next one is the Marco Renoir. Now, I actually really like these pencils. They're really nice and soft, and this white pencil as well is quite opaque. Now, another thing that I'm sure a lot of you are going to be thinking about as I'm doing this test is how light fast each and every one of these white pencils are. The only reason I haven't bothered putting any of that information down in this video is because, like I said, I've reviewed all of these pencils in their sets, and I've gone through the light fast details on those reviews. So if you see an individual white pencil here that you like, if you go to the review that I've done of the set, you'll get an indication of the light fast. So let's move this up a little bit. Okay, so this one now is the Spectrum Noir Color Blend. Again, I really like these pencils. I think they're really quite nice. But as you can see there with their white, it's not terribly opaque. But like I've said, that doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad pencil. It's just the way it is. Next one is the Derwent Graphitint. Again, this is a water-soluble pencil. But you can see there a lot of crumbling, which you would expect from a water-soluble pencil. And as I've said in different reviews that I've done, that ordinarily you wouldn't want to blow those little crumbles away on a watercolor pencil, because once you activate them with water, it'll mix in with the paint. Next down is the Derwent Color Soft. And you can see here, this is very opaque. This white, this Derwent white. But like I said, it definitely feels a little bit harder than the Derwent Drawn pencil, which that entire set, that Derwent Drawn set, is just beautiful, just to die for. Next, we're coming to the end now, guys. I know it might be a little bit tedious for some of you. Next is the Prismacolor Premier. Now, if you've been following me on Instagram and Facebook and stuff like that, there, you'll know that I've just recently got hold of the full 150 set, which I'll be doing a review of quite soon. And I know they've been reviewed to death, but I'm going to be doing it from a different perspective, because I had already got 272 tins individually, different times, of the Prismacolor Premier, and this was quite early into me getting into colour pencils, and there was a lot of breakage and stuff like that, and I just forgot about them. But I think I know a little bit more now about colour pencils and the caring and the maintenance and all the rest. And that sounds stupid because it's a colour pencil. How much maintenance do you need? But you do need to look after them. And I think because of the way I know how to sharpen and stuff like that now, I'm looking at them from a different perspective. Anyway, the next one is the Caran d'Ache Neo Colour. Again, this is another water-soluble pencil. And it perhaps maybe shouldn't really be in this test, but nevertheless, I just thought I would put it in there as I have it, and you can see for yourself the opaqueness of it. Next one is the Koh-i-Noor Woodless pencil. If you don't know, I've done a review on these, and these are actually part of a giveaway for September. So if you are interested in the 24 set of the Koh-i-Noor woodless pencil. Then go across to the review. Leave a comment and share the video, and that's you into the draw to win these pencils. They're really actually quite nice. I was very surprised by them, and I thought they were kind of like a kid's pencil, but definitely not the case. Next one is the Caran d'Ache Pablo. Now, a lot of people use the Pablo. They're really good, fine details, slightly harder than the Luminance. So a lot of people use the Pablo and the Luminance together. Those that I see a lot of colour pencil artists use Luminance and the Polychromos. And for those that don't want to use the Polychromos, they would use the Pablos. And I know some artists use all three together, but I think the Pablo are quite close to the Caran d'Ache Pablo are quite close to the Polychromos pencils in terms of their hardness and stuff like that. Next we have the Derwent Inktense, another water soluble white here, and again this is called Antique White. Next is the Staedtler Ergo Soft. Now, we have a review of these coming out in Colour Pencil magazine in the next issue, so you want to watch out for that review. I have to say this was one of the hardest reviews I ever done of these pencils, because there was a lot of stuff to cover with them actually. And then finally we have the Daler Rowney watercolour pencil, again another water soluble pencil. But nevertheless I thought I would just put it in there and you can see for yourself. Okay, so and that's it all on the black paper. Okay, so I've dusted this down. I've tried to get the best lighting that I can to show you, but as you can see there, the Faber-Castell Aperture right at the top, then the super colour, the Caran d'Ache is quite opaque. Then as we go down to the Rembrandt, it's less opaque and more translucent. The Derwent Pro Colour again. The Derwent Studio quite opaque. Then we come down to the Spectrum Noir Aqua Blend, and the Koh-i-Noor Polycolour are quite translucent. The Faber-Castell Polychromos, as you can see there, quite opaque. They're very thin, very translucent. The Derwent Artist and Derwent Drawn, as you would expect, to be quite opaque, as with the Holbein Artist and then the Caran d'Ache Luminance. Then we go down to the Prismacolor Colour Erase, again very translucent. Then the Derwent Watercolour and the Marco Renoir, quite opaque. And the Spectrum Noir Colour Blend, quite translucent. The Derwent Graphitint and the Derwent Colour Soft, very opaque. The Prismacolor Premier, very opaque. Then the Caran d'Ache Neo Colour, like I said, you know, it's really probably shouldn't be in this test, but I just put it in regardless. The Koh-i-Noor Woodless, a little bit more translucent. Then the Caran d'Ache Pablo and the Derwent Inktense, quite opaque. The Staedtler Ergo Soft, quite translucent, and the Daler Rowney Watercolour, quite opaque. So if I had to pick out 5 of the top ones there, and I'm going to for picking out the 5 top ones, I'm going to exclude the Caran d'Ache Neo colour. So if I had to pick out 5, I think for me it would be definitely the Caran d'Ache Luminance, the Holbein Artist, the Derwent Drawing, the Prismacolor Premier, and then I'd have to go for the Caran d'Ache Supercolor Soft. So that's the Caran d'Ache Supercolor Soft, Derwent Drawing, Holbein Artist, Caran d'Ache Luminance, and Prismacolor Premier. Now I guess when it comes down to, of all the pencils, there's 26 white here. Of all the pencils that I've tested, that's probably what you would expect. But let's have a look and see what they're like in any case on the brown paper, on the Strathmore Tone Tan. So we'll have a little look and see how well these white pencils perform on the Strathmore Tone Tan before we make a final decision. Okay, so this is pretty much going to be exactly the same thing, so I might end up speeding up this one because I know how sometimes people don't like long videos, but we'll see how it goes. So again, it's exactly the same order, so we're going to start off here with the, actually this is really interesting because the Faber-Castell Abat on the black paper was a lot more opaque than that. Okay, so as you can see here, we're just going to work our way down here as slowly as I can so you can get a good visual view of this. As you can see there, the Derwent Studio, quite opaque, as with the Caran d'Ache Supercolor. But the Supercolor doesn't seem to be as opaque as it was on the black. Actually, I'm going to stick them both side by side in a second and you'll see the difference. I get Spectrum Noir, Koh-i-Noor Polycolor there, very translucent. Faber-Castell Polychroma is quite middle of the road really. The very thin quite translucent. Then the Derwent Artist and the Derwent Drawn. You can definitely notice more of a difference in those two pencils on the Strathmore Tone Tan. Then Holbein and the Caran d'Ache Luminance, and there's not much between the Holbein and the Luminance on this paper. Prismacolor Colour Erase and the Derwent Watercolour, again not very opaque, quite translucent. The Marco Renoir, kind of middle of the road there. Then the Spectrum Noir Colour Blend, quite translucent. The Derwent Graphitint, quite middle of the road actually, that one, on the Tone Tan. Derwent Colour Soft, really nice and opaque. Prismacolor Pemria, nice and opaque as well. And the Caran d'Ache Neo Colour, really opaque. The Woodless, Kohinoor Woodless, and the Caran d'Ache Pablo below it there. The Woodless is definitely more translucent, and the Pablo, quite middle of the road really. Then the Derwent Ink Tints. And then finally the Staedtler Ergo Soft and the Daler and Rowney watercolour. So let me just put the Strathmore Tone Tan and the Winsor & Newton black paper side by side, and we'll be able to have a better comparison. Okay, so there you go. You can see that there definitely is, and I suppose that, you know, you would expect it. It's a mid-tone paper, and then you're into your deep black with obviously the black paper. It is going to be a little bit different. But I must admit, I'm a little bit surprised at how some of the pencils are really opaque on the black paper and not so on the Strathmore Tone Tan. You can see there the Prismacolor Very Thin is definitely more opaque on the Tone Tan than it is on the black. You can see there the Kohinoor Polycolor is definitely a lot more translucent on the Tone Tan than it is on the black. The Derwent Artist, the Derwent Drawn, the Holbein and the Luminance, they're quite opaque on all of them, except for the Derwent Artist is maybe a little bit more translucent on the Tone Tan. Then the Prismacolor Colour Erase, and then the Derwent Watercolour. You can see there on the Tone Tan it's definitely different than on the black. The Marco Renoir is pretty similar actually in both papers, as is the Spectrum Noir Colour Blend. It's quite translucent on both. Then the Derwent Graphitint, and then the Derwent Colour Soft, really nice opaque, as is the Prismacolor Premier, very opaque, and the Caran d'Ache Neo Colour. And then just finishing off with the bottom ones are the Kohinoor Woodless is definitely more translucent on the brown than it is on the black. Caran d'Ache Pablo, pretty similar on both actually. And the Derwent Ink Tints. So, you know, I would say my top 5 on both papers are exactly the same pencils actually. Yeah, so on the black paper I had the Caran d'Ache Supercolor Soft, the Derwent Drawn, the Holbein Artist, the Luminance, and the Prismacolor Premier. I think on the Strathmore Tone Tan I would probably leave out the Supercolor, the Caran d'Ache Supercolor Soft, and perhaps on that one I would have the Derwent Colour Soft above that one on the Tone Tan paper. Anyway guys, there you go, that's it. That's my take on 26 white coloured pencils on Strathmore's Tone Tan paper and Winsor & Newton's black paper. And they're very good quality paper, both of them. I love the Strathmore Tone Tan, it's a beautiful paper. You can see a lot of colour pencil artists use it, and they get great results using the Strathmore Tone Tan. But this video is just basically testing out these white pencils, and so you can see yourself there the different quality. And guys, don't forget, like I said, just because one of these white pencils may not be opaque enough or translucent enough doesn't mean to say that the entire pencil range is indicative of what you can see here on this one white pencil. Anyway guys, that's it for me. Thanks very much for joining me today. Don't forget you can go across to the Art Gear Guide. I'll have a written review and some better images up of this where you can compare them better. Also, if you want, you can follow me on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and all those other social networking sites. The links for that are all over in the Art Gear Guide. And you will also find some links for those social media sites in the description box down below. Don't forget to go across to Colour Pencil Magazine and subscribe to the magazine over there. You can either have a digital version of it or have it posted out to you. Definitely go across and take a look if you haven't already done so. Thanks very much. Look forward to seeing you again the next time. Bye.